Imagine you're trying to get the latest news or share an important thought or just see what your friends are up to, and suddenly the place you go for all that is just gone. That's essentially what a social media outage is. It's when a platform like Twitter, now known as X, stops working correctly for a large number of people. This isn't just a minor inconvenience like your favorite coffee shop running out of oat milk. For many, these platforms are vital conduits of information and connection. We care because these spaces have woven themselves into the fabric of our daily lives, becoming essential tools for everything from breaking news dissemination to professional networking and yes, even coordinating social movements. The silence can be deafening when you're used to a constant stream of updates. Twitter, or X as we must now try to remember to call it, has become a particularly potent example of this digital reliance. It's often the first place news breaks, from celebrity gossip to global events, and it's where public figures, journalists, and ordinary citizens engage in real-time conversations. Think about how quickly information and sometimes misinformation can spread there. It's like a global, never-ending press conference mixed with a massive, chaotic water-cooler conversation. When this platform stumbles, the ripple effects are felt widely because so many people depend on its immediacy for their work, their awareness of the world, or even just their sense of connection to ongoing events. Its role as an instant information hub is almost unparalleled. The experience of X being broken can be genuinely disorienting. It's more than just not being able to post your thoughts on the latest movie. For journalists, it can mean missing crucial updates on a fast-developing story. For emergency services, it can sometimes impact their ability to disseminate urgent public safety information. For sports fans, it can mean missing the exact moment a favorite player is traded. This reliance means that an outage isn't just a technical glitch, it's a disruption to a complex ecosystem of information flow, one that many have come to depend on without perhaps even fully realizing the extent of that dependency until it vanishes. These periods of digital silence, these outages, seem to have become a more frequent topic of conversation lately, especially concerning X. Perhaps it's because the platform has undergone so many significant changes in a relatively short period. Understanding why these happen, who they affect, and what it means for the future of how we communicate online is increasingly important. It's a reminder that the digital tools we use are not infallible, and their stability, or lack thereof, has real-world consequences for how we learn, share, and interact with each other on a global scale. The ground beneath our digital feet feels a little less solid than it used to. The digital world held its collective breath on Monday, March 10, 2025. This wasn't just any Monday, it was the critical first day of the NFL free agency's legal tampering period, a time when sports news explodes with signings, trades, and rampant speculation. And right on cue, X, the platform many rely on for these instant updates, experienced significant outages. Imagine sports reporters poised at their keyboards, ready to break news, suddenly finding their primary megaphone was sputtering and failing. The chaos was immediate, as the usual rapid-fire flow of information slowed to a confusing trickle, leaving fans and even teams in a state of anxious uncertainty. It was a stark example of how a platform's failure can derail a major news cycle. The reactions from those who live and breathe sports news were telling. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk openly expressed his immense frustration, a sentiment likely shared by millions of fans. NFL Media's Ian Rappaport, a titan of NFL breaking news, found himself posting only intermittently, a clear sign of the platform's instability. Albert Breer, another respected voice, couldn't help but comment on the incredibly poor timing of the outage. This wasn't just about inconvenience, it was about professionals being hampered in doing their jobs effectively, and an entire community of sports enthusiasts being cut off from information they eagerly anticipated. The frustration was palpable, echoing across the digital landscape even where X wasn't working. This March 2025 incident wasn't an isolated event, unfortunately. Rewind to around August 2024, and users once again reported widespread issues accessing X on a Friday evening, with error reports spiking dramatically. Down Detector, a website that tracks such outages, showed over 7,000 reports, with the majority of users experiencing problems with the app itself. Even further back, in July 2023, X faced technical gremlins, where key features simply weren't working as they should. And who could forget the March 2023 Twitter Spaces event featuring Ron DeSantis, which crashed spectacularly, impacting his presidential campaign announcement. These instances paint a picture of a platform grappling with ongoing stability challenges. When X falters, the immediate response is often a scramble. People don't just patiently wait for the digital gears to start turning again, they actively seek out other avenues. This isn't merely about finding another way to pass the time, it's about trying to maintain the flow of information and connection that has been abruptly severed. This instinctive search for alternatives highlights not only our dependence on these platforms, but also our adaptability when faced with their failures. The digital ground may be shaky, but users are quick to look for more stable footing, even if it's only temporary, demonstrating a resilience born of necessity in our hyper-connected age. During that chaotic March 2025 NFL free agency outage, the scramble was very real and very public. Prominent sports journalists, finding their usual X channels unreliable, had to pivot quickly. Diana Rossini of The Athletic, along with several other reporters, notably migrated their breaking news and commentary over to Bluesky, an emerging alternative platform. Meanwhile, ESPN stalwarts like Adam Schefter and Laura Rutledge took a different approach, directing their followers to the dedicated ESPN app to ensure fans could still access the latest updates. Mike Garafolo from NFL Media highlighted the broader confusion, noting that even agents and teams were struggling to communicate effectively without their primary digital bulletin board. These outages are occurring against a backdrop of significant transformation for the platform itself. In July 2023, Elon Musk, who had acquired Twitter for a staggering $44 billion in October 2022, initiated a dramatic rebranding, changing its iconic name and bird logo to X. This was part of a grander vision to transform it into an everything app. Alongside this rebranding, the company underwent massive internal shifts, most notably a drastic reduction in its workforce, with some reports suggesting around 80% of employees were laid off post-acquisition. Such profound changes inevitably raise questions about operational stability and the resources available to manage a global platform of its scale. The reasons behind these outages can be complex and often aren't fully transparent to the public. For the March 2025 incident, Elon Musk himself attributed the problem to a massive cyber attack, stating the company was actively working to trace its origin. However, more broadly, technical issues can stem from a multitude of factors: software bugs, server overloads, problems with content delivery networks, or even human error during maintenance or updates. The significant reduction in staff has also led to speculation about whether the remaining teams have the capacity to swiftly address complex technical problems or proactively prevent them, especially when dealing with a legacy system as intricate as Twitter's. As X has navigated these turbulent waters, a flotilla of alternative microblogging platforms has gained increased visibility and user interest. Platforms like Threads, launched by Meta, Mastodon, a decentralized option, and Bluesky, which originated from within Twitter itself, have all emerged as potential havens for users seeking different experiences, or simply more reliable ones. Bluesky, for instance, saw a notable surge in users following the 2024 election, and has since reported reaching 30 million users. Threads, too, boasted impressive numbers, reaching 275 million monthly users by October 2024. This signals a growing willingness among users to explore beyond the familiar digital boundaries. The recurring outages on a platform as influential as X are more than just fleeting annoyances. They strike at the heart of what makes these digital spaces valuable: reliability and trust. When users, especially journalists, emergency services, and businesses, cannot depend on a platform to be consistently available, its utility diminishes significantly. The flow of critical, time-sensitive information is disrupted, professional communications are hampered, and the overall user experience becomes one of frustration rather than engagement. This unreliability can erode the platform's standing as the go-to source for real-time updates, pushing people to seek more dependable alternatives for their information needs, which is a serious problem for any communication tool. Comparing X to its emerging competitors reveals an interesting dynamic. While platforms like Bluesky and Threads are rapidly growing and offering new features, they are not immune to their own technical hiccups. Bluesky, for example, has experienced its own outages, including a significant one that lasted about an hour on a Thursday evening, and even back-to-back disruptions on one Tuesday morning. This underscores the inherent complexities of maintaining large-scale social media infrastructure. However, for an established giant like X, which has long been a cornerstone of the digital public sphere, the expectation of stability is arguably much higher, and failures are often met with greater scrutiny and disappointment from its user base. So what can individuals do when their primary digital loudspeaker suddenly goes quiet? The most immediate strategy is to diversify information sources. Relying on a single platform for all news and updates is increasingly risky. Having accounts on, or at least being familiar with, alternative platforms like Blue Sky, Threads, or even more traditional news websites and apps can provide a crucial backup. During an outage, checking official status pages for the affected platform, if accessible, or community-driven outage trackers like Down Detector can offer insights. It's about building a more resilient personal information network, not putting all digital eggs in one basket. Ultimately, the frequent outages on X and the subsequent user exploration of alternatives highlight an evolving social media landscape. This isn't just about X's specific challenges, it's a broader reflection on the nature of our digital dependencies. The vision of a single, dominant digital town square may be giving way to a more fragmented, perhaps more resilient ecosystem of interconnected digital villages. These disruptions, while frustrating, might inadvertently be fostering a healthier, more diversified online environment where users are more conscious of their choices and less beholden to any single, fallible platform. The next time X goes down, perhaps more people will already know where else to turn.